Hi everyone, I'm Cloud. Before we begin, just a quick reminder. This video is for informational purposes only and reflects my personal views. It does not constitute financial advice. The cryptocurrency market carries high risks. Please do your own research and consult a professional advisor before investing. Any predictions or analysis mentioned in this video may not be accurate, and you are solely responsible for your investment decisions. I'm not liable for any financial losses.
Let's start by reviewing last week's market action before we get into the forecast for next week. The period we're looking at is July 6th to July 13th. Bitcoin closed the week with a high at $118,869, successfully hitting all of our upside targets. The low was $107,429. After briefly breaking below the midpoint, it quickly bounced back up. That's a strong signal of market strength, so it didn't trigger any of the downside targets. Ethereum also reached a weekly high of 3,040, which means it also hit all of our targets. The weekly low came in at 20,503, and just like Bitcoin, it found support right around the midpoint, only 7 points off in fact. Last week I mentioned that every single day from the 7th to the 13th was critical. We were either going to see a strong uptrend, a strong downtrend, or a volatile sideways market designed to trap you emotionally. This setup was already explained in detail in my July 2nd and 3rd daily reports, and once again, it turned out to be a very accurate forecast. In a moment, I'll break down why I interpreted the astrology the way I did. Also, I gave everyone a heads up last week. Once the weekly targets are hit, you need to immediately shift your focus to the July monthly targets, because the high or low of the month could appear right around this zone. Now, if you take a look, the high targets for the July monthly chart were also fully achieved, so these recent days are very likely the monthly top. It's simple. If the market doesn't push any higher from here, then we're either heading into a downtrend or a sideways correction. Even if there's a bounce, we likely won't break above this level again. Now, here's something I want to reflect on personally regarding Bitcoin in this rally. Back in May, I already gave a target zone of $114K to $122K for Bitcoin and around $3,000 for Ethereum. Up until June 10th, we were still watching closely in the daily reports for signs of this move, but it just didn't happen. The market moved in such a frustrating way. I started to feel that the chances of hitting new highs would shrink as we moved deeper into June and July. Back in early May, when the rally started, I mentioned we might be forming an M-top structure. So, think of this as a big M, and within it, there's also a small m. In my view, the left peak would be slightly higher than the right one. Also, I believe July 13th, when Saturn goes retrograde, would impact Bitcoin significantly. Though the actual market reaction would be delayed, it still acts as a weak activation point. In episode 217, I said there could be a dip opportunity between July 13th and August 11th. So, if I was bearish on July 13th, there was no way I expected a strong downtrend before that, between the 7th and the 13th, because if we had crashed already, then July 13th would need to become the start of a rally, which would contradict my forecast. But one thing that really held me back was, I simply didn't believe Bitcoin could reach a new high. I got stuck thinking, if the left shoulder couldn't break 120K, then how could the right one possibly do it? So I ended up avoiding Bitcoin, even though I had a bullish view. I didn't want to miss out completely, so I switched over to ADA, which had been consolidating for a long time and had more room to run. ADA didn't disappoint. This year alone, it's given me 4 strong rallies and it's been amazing. Now let me explain the astrology logic behind this forecast, why I expected a trending move, either strong up or strong down, or at least volatile fakeouts. If you use any astrology software, go back and look at the transits between July 6th to July 13th. Mars was in Cancer, and Mercury was in Leo, but starting from the 6th or 7th, they were closely resonating at 16 degrees, 17 degrees, 18 degrees, 19 degrees, and 20 degrees. This was the first time in over 6 months I've seen such a tight and continuous resonance between Mars and Mercury. Now, my intuitive read is Mars, force, aggression, and Mercury, compounding or exponential moves. Put them together, I interpreted it as a signal for either a strong uptrend, a strong downtrend, or a volatile bait and trap situation. This is just for your reference. I'm also doing this kind of astro-analysis on market action for the first time, and learning as I go. Now let's update our key support zones. Previously we were watching 85K, 86K for Bitcoin, and $1,250, $2,000 for Ethereum. Let's now raise that to around $89,000 for BTC, and $2,000, $20,500 for Eth. Alright, now let's move on to the forecast for next week, July 14th to July 20th, Pay attention to these key dates: July 15th, 16th, and 18th. July 18th marks the beginning of Mercury retrograde, which lasts all the way until August 11th. That's the end of the window I mentioned earlier for a potential market dip. During this retrograde, people tend to get emotional, reactive, and unstable. Online, you'll see all kinds of rumors, confusion, and false narratives, which could lead to emotional trading and mistakes. Expect to see a lot of debate, fear, and misinformation surrounding Bitcoin again, so stay calm and patient, and let the candlestick signals guide you. That's the most reliable approach. I'm not going to read out the exact levels for next week. I'll just put them up on the screen now so you can screenshot and save them. Bitcoin needs to hold above $114,000 to keep aiming for the upside, and Ethereum needs to stay above $2,830 for any further bullish move. Alright, that's it for today. Weekly forecasts should never be viewed alone. They must be combined with daily and monthly charts. The daily charts fill in what the weekly might miss. I wish you all the best. May you buy at the bottom and sell at the top. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you found this helpful. Send this to your friends too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.